I don't know where. Oh, there it is. There, I can see now. Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is November Governing Council meeting at 6:09 p.m. on November 18th, 2025, and we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll take a attendance since who is present. And so I'm looking at David Toledo
Present.
and Patrick Segura
Present.
and LaDonna Yepasando
Present.
and Margie Krill present. Susan Baca already notified me that she's on travel and she is absent for this meeting, not present. So we do have a quorum. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the opening activities. We need to take a look at the agenda, the November 18th agenda that's listed and that you received in your email. And we need a motion in a second to accept the agenda as posted here. And anyone can make a motion from the board to
So are we making a motion to start the,
accept the agenda. Yes.
okay, yeah, I motion to accept the agenda.
Okay, Donna Yepes a motion to accept the agenda for the November 18th meeting tonight. Do I have a second?
This is Patrick. I second.
And Patrick Skir seconded it. So I'll go ahead and see if everyone approves. David, do you approve?
I approve.
And Patrick, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
And LaDonna, do you approve?
Yes.
And this is Margie and I approve. So motion carries. And we'll go on to the next item on the agenda is to vote on and approve the meeting minutes from the board meeting slash retreat on October 25th.
Let me pull
So
those up for you all real quick.
yeah,
I thought I had those up.
I'll
but I
take a
can-
look at that, and because I don't know if everyone got to see those yet. I know LaDonna wasn't present in the meeting, so. Well, this was just for that board meeting that day that we had it. This was our October board meeting. It took place on October 25th.
This is Patrick. I approve.
Okay, so Patrick had taken a look at the meeting minutes and he said he approves. Do I have a second?
I second it.
And David seconds, so I have to see if everyone approves. LaDonna, do you approve? She needs to probably unmute. Is she still there?
Yes.
Okay, and David, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
And Patrick, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
And this is Margie and I approve. So motion carries for the vote on the October meeting minutes. So the next item on the agenda is public comment. Public comments will be limited to no more than 3 minutes per person. Is there anybody that has a public comment at this time? Okay, no public comments, no statements. Then we'll go ahead and move forward. And the next item on the agenda is going to be the Finance Committee report. And we have Greg with us with K-12 accounting to cover that. So, Greg?
Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and get prepared to share my screen.
Okay.
All right, bear with me as my voice is a little shot, but we have one bar that I'm proposing tonight, which is our PEC mini grant, an increase of $10,000. The use for these monies will provide transportation for our students. And 26107 is a common fund with a lot of educational cooperatives looping their funds into. We had used this fund number for our mini grant earlier in the year, so that is why it's proposed as an adjustment type increase. Any questions about this one?
I do, Greg. This is Margie. So we received this grant for $10,000 and you just want to put it into the school's transportation budget?
Because of the provider from the PEC, that's where it goes into Fund 26107. If it was
Okay.
the general student transportation, I think that's where it would probably go into Fund 13,000 otherwise. But for this
All right.
specific provider, 26107.
All right, that's great. Okay. Go ahead.
Hey,
Thank
Greg,
you.
real quick, just so the board knows, this is the grant that was offered from the Public Education Commission. We could put it towards any project, and because we didn't really essentially have transportation funds, we decided to put that towards that, which will buy us a few months of busing services.
So that means buying busing services from the Department of Education from the Pueblo? Is that
Correct.
what it's buying it from? Okay. And then can it also like for field trips and all that? Because we still buy bus services from them for field trips also, correct?
No, the field trip provision, and I did reach out to Dr. Lisa. They were asking for a separate contract, but in the first original contract, there's a provision that includes field trips. So that
Mhm.
should all be included, but she hasn't gotten back to me on whether she was going to change that or not. But I'm going forward with what the original contract stated. So the 10,000 would pay for whatever they're charging us monthly, which includes transportation to and from school daily, as well as field trip needs.
Okay, that's great. I hope it stands that way though. All right, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So we are spending within our budget across our funds with this expenditure analysis, and then our projections are looking to. We have spent generally less within October within some of these funds that we did in September. Now for revenues, we have had a handful of things come in from SEG to RFRs, food claims, some student activity. We'll reflect the details in a little bit, but this is where the ball usually gets rolling for a lot of our annual revenue to come in. And then with our yearly expenditure comparison, we have spent a little more within October than we have then well, yeah, gradually more in October than we have in the previous years. And our spending per student has us at what looks like $453,000 for the year as of October 31st. As always, we want to make sure the spending is reflective of our base investments within the students in the classroom and our teachers, our amazing staff members. So we see a lot of that being put towards their instructional uses, salaries, and benefits, we've had some contract services and some administrative expenses throughout the month. And we keep keen consistent with our spending across functions as well. Our operational fund cash liquidity for the month of October is at 2.16. And feel free to stop me at any point if you have questions or if you want me to comment on some of these details. This packet that I have right here could be a bit more high definition. To note some of our spending for the month, I've put in notes for a few of these things. I tend to try and run the monthly payroll liabilities right after I finish payroll if I can help it. So for the month of October, September liabilities and October liabilities got paid. This would be the Educational Retirement Board, retiree healthcare, state withholding, AFLAC, Legal Shield, and then our quarterly workers' compensation, state unemployment taxes. For accounts payable, we've had a few different things for the month featuring our Get Ready curriculum from Vista Higher Learning. We got our Reach and Refrigerator, and we've got quite a bit of food to provide for our kiddos, as well as cross-country meet, some reimbursements, and then our general monthly service providers. Any questions about these payments?
Ray, can you enlarge it just a little bit?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Let me just see. Okay. Just like the salaries and legal shield and all that's all for teachers payroll and all is kind of high, but everything else is pretty much normal, but the other stuff is pertinent. US Bank, that 21,000. Oh, that was for payroll. Okay, well, that's good. I don't have any questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
Joe Dan,
Yes, sir.
I had a question, I'm just wondering, for the lunch, expenses are Walter Charter and, uh, Kevin's program, are they helping with the expenses for our lunch program?
Yeah, so we go through a request for reimbursement through the state because it's free and reduced. With Walatoa, we charge them and I think we're working on billing still, right, Greg?
Yes, we
Uh,
are.
yeah, so Walatoa, they're supposed to, essentially pay us and then they go through and they get their reimbursement for that and they have to submit that themselves. With the immersion school, we were counting their kids on our count, which was what the state told us to do. As of last week, they found out that the way that we do things isn't compliant for their school. It's compliant for us, but
Yeah,
because they do family style dining and they're more of a Montessori setting, there's another set of regulation which we wouldn't be able to afford to sustain them. And they probably wouldn't even be able to afford to sustain themselves. So I sent them back the contract that's initiated the same way as Walatoa, where we just flat out charge them now for the meals that we provide them.
yeah.
That should go in effect I mean, immediately. I will do my due diligence by the end of this week to connect with Dr. Lisa on this stuff. But moving forward, they're supposed to be paying for their lunches instead of us counting their kids and getting reimbursed. Uh, we'll get reimbursement for our own school, while Atoa will submit for their own school. And because the immersion school is basically a private school, they don't qualify for a reimbursement. And so they're just going to have to pay us directly. And that's something that they're out of pocket.
But we still serve them?
Yes, we still serve them.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty. To carry on, the check reports within detail to highlight our one Amazon purchase. We have bulk headphones for classroom usage. And if anyone wants to talk about some of these transactions further at length, I'm more than happy to discuss between the volume, the coding, how all that works. To highlight the Vista Higher Learning expense is one that we've used as part of our RFR that's going to be coming in within the coming months.
That is, just so the board knows, that Vista Learning is another grant that we were awarded at the beginning of the school year, so that we can help support our English language ELD, English language development classes. So, it was an entire chunk of money that we could put towards a curriculum, and we were one of the schools that was fortunate to be awarded with that.
And these highlight payroll. All right. For this summary report, I put check marks next to where we have gotten revenues coming in from our monthly SEG, our claim, some student activity from a carnival fundraiser. Got RFRs for our Title I fund, 24189 for teacher training and recruiting, family income index, 1701. I believe I've also passed by. Yeah, that other RFR is going to come 24195. And then these balances, again, if anyone wants to talk about some of these coding balances at length, I'm happy to answer questions offline. It is a lot of detail to go through. Finally, statement of revenues and expenditures, just summarizing all that data up from earlier. Looking at our fund balance for beginning of the year, where that's currently putting us at. Had expenditures of 155K for the month, revenues of 117, and these numbers will continue to hold even keel throughout the school year. Finally, we have our bank reconciliation for the month of October. We have tied out to a $0 variance between our activities and our general ledger. We are looking good to go. Just to highlight the student activity here.
Yeah, our carnival raised almost $800 in one day. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you about, like 789 or 729. That's pretty good. Yeah. We should do that every day.
I agree. 'Tis the season for carnivals, parties, and other feasts, right?
True.
So tying off with this bank reconciliation, this is the finance packet that we have prepared here tonight. I will stay tuned for the vote on the expenditures as it is, as well as the budget adjustment requests for the PEC mini grant. And one more time for any questions anybody has.
Does anybody have any questions for Greg on the finance report? If not, we'll go ahead and ask for a motion to accept report and the bank reconciliation and cash disbursements. Anyone from the board can make a motion for that.
This is Patrick. I make a motion to approve.
Okay, Patrick made a motion to approve the bank reconciliations and the cash disbursements. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, and LaDonna Yepesanda second, so I'll go ahead and see if everyone approves. David, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
Okay, and LaDonna, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
And Patrick, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
And this is Margie and I approve. So motion carried and bank reconciliations and all passed. So thank you, Greg, for that. You can stay with us if you want.
Thank you, Greg.
We should also get approval on the bar, right?
Oh, the bar? Oh, for the $10,000. Yes, yes. I'm sorry about that. We missed that. Okay, so he first started with the $10,000 bar grant that we received for transportation. He wants to put it in the student transportation budget. So I need a motion in a second um to accept the bar uh for we should say the number or something. Do they say, Greg? Should we?
Yeah, I would say when they make the motion, they should refer to the last four digits in the letter. So in this case, it'd be bar 0004I.
Okay. All right, yes, if you want to make a motion to accept and approve this bar. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the bar.
Okay, and you say the last four of the bar number 0004I
004I.
000. Okay, LaDonna Yepesano made a motion to accept the bar for transportation of $10,000. The bar number 0004I. Do I have a second?
I second it.
David second it. We'll go around and see if everyone approves. Patrick, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
Okay, and LaDonna, do you approve?
Yes, I do.
And David, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
And this is Margie and I approve. So motion carried, that bar has been accepted. So thank you for giving that information to us, Greg.
Thank you very much for letting me present.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda is well, it's the action items. We have to go through and see what we need to take action on. So the action item for approval of cash disbursements, we did that. For the approval of the bank reconciliation, we did that. And approval for the bars, we did that. So the next item on the agenda is approval of the revised bylaws. And we had gone over them and worked on them at the last board meeting slash retreat October 25th. So Joe Dan had went ahead and included in this meeting the updated version of the bylaw. So I'll go ahead and let you talk about it, Joe Dan.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Can everybody see that all right? The bylaws that we had?
Yes, I can see it.
I
Yes.
just gotta say we had a great discussion. Took us a few hours to get through, and I think that we came up with some really much needed edits and changes to your bylaws. And one thing that I gotta say, and being serving as a board member, I think you all have a very thorough set of bylaws that could be an example for other schools that might be wanting to look at stuff. So the changes weren't too many. I've actually highlighted them. And then I'll present those changes. I'll tell you what our next steps are for these, and then you guys can take that to a vote. So the first edit that we had here was the addition of the process for nominees of board members. So again, that's highlighted here. The board shall select the board members for vacant positions. The board shall obtain nominations by notifying community, business, and or educational leaders of regular elections and or vacancies on the board, along with a description of the responsibilities of serving as a member and the date and time of the governing board meeting at which the position will be voted on by the governing board, whether new elections or vacancies. Interested individuals will be asked to submit their name and qualifications and reasons for wanting to serve on the governing board, or submit the names of individuals who they believe would be an asset to the governing board. Nominations shall be given to the secretary of the governing board by no later than 10 working days before the date of the regular board meeting at which the vote of the governing board shall be made. So this just basically means if you have a board member that's coming on, you want to go through the vetting process, probably want to meet with them. They can reach out, send you an email of their interest, or you can reach out to them and say, hey, somebody nominated you. Are you interested? If so, can you send me over your qualifications and reasons for maybe wanting to possibly sit on our board? And then by the time there's a 10 working day window where you want to be able to invite that person to the board meeting and just take it to a vote should that person be past the vetting process, put it that way. So that's one of the changes there. Are there any questions on that one item? No. All right, since there's no questions, we'll move on to the next edit. And Greg, I don't remember. I meant to ask Teresa this earlier. We were going to change this amount, the 2,500, to be in alignment with the procurement code. The procurement code is it $20,000 on the spot, or should it be $19,999 for approval?
Let me look into that. Back to
Okay.
you.
I'll come back to that just so we can expedite stuff, but I know that we wanted to increase that because I believe, is it 60,000 and over, we have to get 3 quotes, but there's that threshold. I think it's $20,000 if I remember right.
Yeah, so 20,000 and over would warrant obtaining 3 different quotes. Going over 60,000 would have to obtain RFP, request for proposal at that point.
So I think, because I know they said 20,000, I think this, in order to be accurate, should actually be $19,999 because once it hits that $20,000 mark, then it has to go through that procurement process, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll leave it as that. If there's any changes to these bylaws that need to be corrected, we'll have an opportunity for our attorney, Dan Hill, to look over these afterwards. And we can always take this to the next board meeting and make the necessary changes. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave that at that. I think that's pretty comfortable and that's probably more than enough. The next addition was this letter O, basically stating that within the general powers and duties of the governing board, that the direction for the head administrator and staff must come from the board as a whole, right? In other words, not one sole individual from the board can make any decisions. It has to come from a consensus of board members. Okay, so that was one that we had reviewed. Moving farther down, the next edit that we had, let me make sure we look at this. We just needed to make sure that when it came to the meetings of the governing board, everything was in alignment with the OMA, with the Open Meetings Act, and specifically states that it's the second Thursday of each month in the evening at 6 p.m., at the building or via Zoom. So we added that. And the date and time of location, regular meetings may change by action of the board. But this all pretty much stays the same. Again, if there's issues there, our attorney will let us know, but I think that should be pretty straightforward. Um, the next edit here was executive sessions. This stayed the same. The only things that were added was that the executive director or principal, which we will change on the next, unless Dan, it's just a formality. We decided to go with executive director or principal because it had originally said principal, but I'm also serving in the director role. But now, according to PCS&M, our mentors, they said head administrator would be the more appropriate title. So anywhere in this body where it says executive director slash principal, it will be changed to head administrator, and I can make sure that that is completed before we submit this to the Public Education Commission. But in this instance, myself, I shall attend all executive sessions with the exception of the board's discussion regarding my performance. So, you know, when it comes down to my evaluation, you may want to go into an executive session and discuss my evaluation without me there. And then in most cases, once things are discussed, then I would be brought back into the executive session to answer any questions that you might have. And the other thing that we took out that they asked us to strike out, and I have it right here, lined through: the secretary of the governing board shall maintain topical minutes. We don't want to keep it's closed session. We don't want a record of anything that's going in there. It's all internal. So that was a recommendation to take that component out, that portion out. This next one, officers of the governing board, we did add that the duties of certain officers are set forth herein. When the incumbent of an office is unable to perform the duties thereof, or when there is no incumbent of an office, both situations referred to hereafter as the absence of the officer, the duties of the office shall, unless otherwise provided by the board or these bylaws, be performed by the next officer set forth in the following sequence: president, vice president, treasurer, secretary. So in other words, if the president is absent and we have to have a meeting and we do meet quorum, the vice president would run the meeting, right? In the event that the president or the vice president are absent and we have enough members, then the treasurer would run the meeting. Because of the number of members that we have on our board, if these three people aren't here, the president, vice president, or treasurer, we won't have a quorum. So it wouldn't matter if the secretary is there, unless we get 7 board members, which we'll talk about when we get to the next item in the agenda. And then section 2 here is the election and term. The governing board shall elect by a simple majority of eligible voting members its officers at its first regular public meeting of the fiscal year. I don't know that would have to be the first public meeting of the fiscal year. We might want to take that off. I can reword that because I think when you're voting in members, we wouldn't, this time has already passed. And so it's typical to do that, but I mean, it's your bylaws, right? So elect by simple majority letter. I would say, just say the governing board shall elect by a simple majority of eligible voting members its officers. And I would strike, and I'm going to do that. I would strike this out. And then they shall serve for a term limit of 2 years and until their successors are elected and qualified, or until their resignation, removal, or death. That just sounds so morbid. I don't like
I
that.
was
I'm
like,
sorry.
don't put that in there.
But
We know they're off the board if they've died, so we don't.
exactly. And I think it's just, again, it's a formality thing. I know we have that in our bylaws at other schools. We're just making sure we're consistent with that. But I hate that last part. It's morbid. So I think that should look okay. And then I think that covers everything that we needed to. What we would do is say that there is a certification of adoption. This would now change to the November 18th, because you're going to be voting that today. And just know the document that I'm working off of is what was provided to us. I don't like the formatting on this, so I'm going to change the formatting whenever I finalize this and submit it. I think I have a 30-day window to submit this to the PEC. So here's what we'll do. I think the anticipation of what's inside of this is what's the most important, right? The meat. So you'll be voting on those changes and those edits. If the board decides to approve those edits tonight, then what I'll do is I'll send them to Dan Hill and I'll ask him to look over those. And even if he says, hey, we're going to need to make a couple of edits, I'm going to go ahead and submit these to the PEC. And then on the next meeting we have, maybe in December, if there's anything that Dan Hill says, hey, you need to change this, we'll do another vote for our bylaws and change. It's just always going to be kind of a working document. And every year we're always going to be checking our bylaws to make sure things are right where we want them.
I think that's good. Only thing is that you could probably, like, we can vote on, like you said, the meat of the material right now, like all the verbiage and everything in here, and we pretty much gone over it when we were at our meeting in October, but so we know what's happening. Thanks for explaining what's going to be changed in here, because we went over a whole bunch of different things that day. But another thing is that when you submit it to Dan Hill, would you submit it like this, or do you want to organize it the way you want it and submit it to him the way you've organized it? I think that would be best, don't you think?
Yeah, I'll work on the format. That'll take me tomorrow and I can get it
Okay.
done.
Yeah.
My goal is to actually get this formatted tomorrow and send it to him immediately. So I guess if you're
Okay.
taking the vote for the board, I would kind of state making the motion to approve pending our attorney's review.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We can make the motion to change, we can make a motion to accept the bylaws with these changes, uh, pending the review of our attorney or something like that, right? Okay. All right. So, right, with that said, if we're ready, we can go ahead and do that right now. From the board can make a motion in a second to accept uh the changes on these bylaws.
I'll make a motion to accept the changes.
Okay, so Ladanya Pisano made a motion to accept the changes of the bylaws pending our attorney's review. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, David Toledo seconded, so we'll go ahead and see if you approve. Patrick, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
And Ladonna, do you approve?
Yes.
And David, do you approve?
Yes, I approve.
And this is Margie and I approve. So motion carried, and you can go ahead and submit those to our attorney, and then
Awesome.
we'll go from there.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get back to the agenda. And all right. Let's see here. Sorry. I thought I was already sharing.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda, we want to go ahead and vote on the approval, or was it a possible action of nominations of board officers? So you want to do that now then? So
Sure.
is it open? Should we go ahead and open the floor to nominations then? All right, so the next item on the agenda is nominations of and approval of our board officers. So the floor is open to nominate anyone for our board officers. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion or nominate David Toledo as president of this board. Anybody else can make any for vice president, secretary, treasurer, however you want to do it.
You can also go one by one, and what my recommendation would be, again, I don't want to be too hands-on with this portion, but I'm happy to guide, is when someone is nominated, that person can either accept the nomination or reject the nomination. If there are more than one person that's being nominated for a certain position, you can have the discussion on either somebody saying, I withdraw my name so that this person could take that on. And then I would just take that person to a vote and say, this person is accepted the nomination, and we'll take a vote to install them as the new whatever, whether it's chair or vice chair.
Officer.
Sure.
All right, so I'll go ahead and with that nomination, does anybody else have any nominations for president of this board? Okay, then David, do you accept the nomination for the president of the board? I have to see your face. Yes, say yes.
Um,
Yes, he does.
Just have to run the meeting, that's all. Take care of all the problems at the school. That's all. Work with the head administrator at the school. And that's all.
I thought the new guy would do a good job.
You can nominate Patrick.
Yeah. Well, I nominate Patrick. I think he's got a lot of talent and he's got a lot of good ideas. I would recommend
Okay.
him highly.
Okay, so David has nominated Patrick Segura for the president of this board. Patrick, do you accept?
Although I'm honored, um, because I'm still kind of new, honestly. I mean, just the board retreat in itself, when we went, I wasn't sure what to expect. Um, and even like Joe Dan sent us that meeting that's coming up for like board members. Like it's
Oh,
interesting,
yeah.
and I'm still exactly not like I haven't grasped, the whole picture of, you know, I mean, I know what we do here. I've never been on a board before, but uh, I mean, honestly, I would probably decline it. And if it comes up the next time, I would probably take it.
Accept
But
it.
it's just I'm still learning to, how these things are run, honestly, and I'm not sure if I would be the best one to do it justice.
Okay, Joe Dan, if I get nominated again, can I accept it, or has it been too long that I can't because I'm getting nominated for a fresh nomination for the president, or what do you think? Or should we just make Donna or David or LaDon take it, or what do you say?
Yeah, no, I think that's really up to you all. I think part of it is take into consideration what the Public Education Commission is kind of expecting with a lot of changes. I personally don't have any
Mhm.
problems with anything that the board decides, but I think it's important for the board to take a step back and you had conversations with the Public Education Commission long before I even landed in this position, right? And so what I can speak to is I know that the PEC is looking for some drastic changes, not just
Some
on
new changes, yeah, okay.
and the big.
Well, I would say, David, if you want to take it, and if someone wants to nominate me for vice president, if you're not president, I could help you out with that, however you guys want to do it, or LaDonna, if you want to take it on. Uh, whatever you guys think, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Margie. I really feel that I want to nominate you as the vice president so that way you can guide us and help whoever that's going to be the president, because I think we're all kind of like scared as to how we would conduct these board meetings.
How to go through, but and then like you said, you can go until another term, and then if you're still on the board, then we can nominate you at that time for another position or something. But so and David's been on the board. LaDon and Patrick are fairly new to the board, so that's why I'll go ahead and nominate David again as the president of this board, and
Keep
I'll accept the nomination as vice president. And he got off, right? Did David get off?
no,
I'm here.
Oh,
keep
okay,
in
I
mind
thought you
that
hung up and left.
it's in the board's best interest to know that beyond chair and vice chair, you're still going to need somebody nominated as a secretary.
Oh yeah,
And
we haven't got that far yet. Yeah,
Yeah, and the big one, the
we're
reason
just
why I'm
looking.
bringing this up is treasurer, because typically your treasurer will sit on your finance committee, because when we get to committees, you're gonna have to have that audit and finance committee folks on those. And so it doesn't have to be the finance person, but I'm just kind of making sure that you're thinking ahead so that you're strategic with how you're getting all your members.
Yeah, we'll get there. So David, what do you think?
How much time do I have to think about
You have
it? All right.
14 seconds.
2 minutes.
No, I said 14 seconds.
Okay, well, I accept the nomination and, I also nominate you for vice president.
Okay, and I accept the nomination, and LaDonna nominated me too, so I'll accept the vice president nomination. So with that said, we don't have to take a vote because, or should we go ahead and vote or motion, or what do you think, Jodan, on those? Well, we'll finish all of them and then we'll go ahead and motion on all of them. Is that what the best way to do it?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You can do that
Okay.
and just say this person for this position, this person for this position, and then
Mhm.
go through a roll call vote.
Okay, and then so next item, anybody want to nominate or anyone want to step out up and nominate themselves for the next two positions, which is treasurer and secretary? So either of those positions are open. Um I can nominate.
LaDonna,
Oh,
which one do you want?
yeah.
I'll take
Yeah.
the secretary
So
position.
I can nominate Patrick, yeah, for the treasurer and LaDonna for secretary position. If you guys will accept that, then we'll go ahead and motion for all of that. So
It's Patrick, I
Uh,
accept.
Patrick accepts the treasurer, okay? LaDonna,
yes, and I accept the secretary position.
okay. All right, so with those position nominations being said, I'll go ahead and call for a roll call vote to see if we approve for the new officers of this board, San Diego Riverside Charter School Governing Council Board. David Toledo would be the new president of the board. Margie Krill will be the vice president. Patrick Segura will be the treasurer, and LaDonna Yepasan will be the secretary. So, David, do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, LaDonna, do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Patrick, do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
And this is Margie, and I agree. So,
All right.
motion, everyone
So,
agrees, new officers will be installed. Do we have to stand up and raise our
yay.
right hands or anything? So,
So the way this congratulations to everybody. I know this is a big move and a big step for the board. Just a couple of reminders. This will go into effect after this board meeting. So Margie, you're still our chair. You'll oversee the rest of this meeting. Come December, when we go into our next board meeting, that's when it will go into effect with everybody's new positions. We will be able to post those starting tomorrow on our website. And then I have to send in
that's right.
the documentation to the Public Education Commission. I have the 30 days. Anytime we do a change, whether it's board or bylaws or anything, I have to document that and report that to the Public Education Commission. And then just something to keep in mind, even though your bylaws do state that you cannot serve more than a 2-year commitment, if you decide to come to the end of your first year and say, hey, I got other things I want to take care of, or I want to try something else, you're more than welcome to do that. I did that as well with the board I serve on. I just felt like it was a good opportunity for me to step away and hand the baton to somebody else. And I have other things I'm thinking ahead for my family and this school, which I'm committed to. So just know that you're not held to that maximum. If you decided at some point things are going on, that's something to take in consideration. And as well as, you have 4 board members here. You might want to have a conversation with Susan about her intent on staying with the board. I would recommend
Mhm.
not having her leave unless you fill that position immediately. Then it would kind of like swap her out one for one. And
Mhm.
be strategic again moving forward to load your board. You have essentially 2 positions as of right now that I would hope you all fill and find the right people.
That's great. Okay, we'll do that then. And yes, I feel that would be good. Like you said, you're not like locked in to say you absolutely have to stay here for 2 years and you have to make every single meeting between now and the next, 24 months or anything. So it's good. Like you said, things come up, things change, people move on to different endeavors, so they can always step down and resign as their position and leave the board whenever necessary. But that's great that we have new names. Another thing I wanted to bring up too, that Jodan said this picture day at the school recently, and on a Monday, I think Monday or Tuesday, and he invited the board to come down and have their picture taken that day, so that he can put the pictures in the yearbook and also on the website. along with like their name and the officer's position. So if you didn't get to make it to picture day and get your picture taken, then if you could send in like a headshot of yourself to Joe Dan, and he'd put that on the website or in the yearbook or whatever. Is that correct, Joe Dan?
Yes, and I'll send an email out tomorrow as well, just reminding folks that it is a requirement that we have to post our board members' pictures. And if you'd like to send me a quick little bio, a couple of sentences if you want to. If not, no need. But I think it's always nice to know, for the public to know who's working with the school, who's working for the school. We're also going to do the same for our staff at the school.
That's good. Okay, so that was a hard thing to do. We'll go ahead and move on. To the next item on the agenda is possible action item and nomination of and approval of committee assignments. Do we have to do that tonight?
I would, and the nice thing is you can always swap around and help everybody, but the thing is we need to report to the PEC who those committee members are. There's different committees that a school can designate, but there is a requirement to have an audit committee as well as a finance committee. And Greg, correct me, I think Greg's still with us, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
requirement, correct?
Yes, they will have they will have the governing board president. They'll have a parent volunteer, or and then the treasurer, someone with accounting experience. The head administrator, myself, as ex officio members.
Mm-hmm. So right now, basically, so we're gonna, like you said, Patrick is gonna be on the finance committee because he just was elected treasurer. I can also help out with that to be on that finance committee, and then who wants to serve on the audit committee from the board? Uh, I can serve on the audit committee because I've always done every single audit entrance and audit exit for the school. Basically, one or the other or both every year that I've been on the board. So I could serve on the audit committee if you would like, and whoever else wants to help out there too on the board. But
Greg,
is that what we
is it
need?
Greg, is it mandatory it's mandatory for the chair to be on the uh
Audit committee, right?
audit committee, correct?
Generally, yes. They will want two board members.
I
So
could,
that's David and I.
I can join you, Margie.
Okay, that would be us. Would that be okay for
And
the
then I
audit
guess
committee?
would the finance committee then be comprised of LaDonna and Patrick, and then Margie can kind of step in as needed?
If somebody's not going to be absent, I can show up, or vice versa for everything else. Yeah.
Because I think what we'd like to do, Margie, I know we talked about
Mm-hmm.
this, is to save time in our board meetings, have a 30-minute meeting. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that it's going to go 30 minutes, right? But prior to the board meeting, myself, Greg and or Angie and your finance committee would meet to go through the finances. That way, whenever we get to the board meeting, Greg's not or Angie are not going through every little record. You can just kind of give
Mm-hmm.
out a report and say, hey, we discussed this, here's some of the items, here's what we question, and be done with that.
And I'd be willing to help Patrick with that too. So with the, like I said, if we do that finance committee meeting like once a month with before every single board meeting, then both of us could say, or he or I or both of us would join, said, hey, we listened to the finance committee report, and so we everything on our
Oops. Oh, Margie, I think I accidentally muted you. I was trying to mute me.
unmute.
There-
Okay.
yeah.
Like, wait, but we could just say like everything's on the up and up to the finances, and so all we have to do is approval of the bars or something like that, right? So if we meet 30 minutes before, so we can do that when we get to
And
after we get all the rest of the members of that committee.
and if Susan so stays on the board, she could choose to
Mhm.
serve on one of the committees as
Mhm.
well. And if you get as you get new members into your board with certain skill set, certain people might want to drop out of a committee, join a different committee, or just not take on any committee responsibilities and leave it for those folks. So you have, I think for right now, just in good faith for the PEC and for the betterment of the board, taking those committees assignments now, and then as you get new members, kind of reevaluating that when that time comes.
I think that's a good idea. All right, so Patrick Ladonna on the Finance Committee, David and I on the Audit Committee, and those are our committee assignments at this point. Do we have to go around and see if everyone agrees?
I
Or are we
think
good?
you had the
Just,
discussion. If anybody had anything that they objected to, you can ask them to that. And if not, I would just take it to a roll call vote for good faith.
okay. So David, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, and Ladonna, do you agree?
I agree.
And Patrick, do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
And this is Margie, I agree. So we've did our nominations and approval of our committee assignments. So that's good. So all of our action items have been taken care of for this meeting. And so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda is the head administrator, executive director / principals report.
Margie, just for
Mhm.
clarity of the minutes, who made the motion and who seconded?
For the committee assignments.
Yeah.
I don't know, does someone want to make a motion for the committee assignments? So
I'll
that you
make a
can write it down?
motion to,
Okay, so
for the
LaDonna made
committee
the motion for
assignments.
the committee. Okay, LaDonna made the motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
And David seconded. So that's we already went around and everyone already approved, so we're good and we're covered on that motion then.
Oh, and I would say let's think about strategy wise, what parent you would like to target to put on that audit committee.
The audit and also and all the finance committee too, right?
I think it's just audit, right, Greg?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
just audit.
it's
Okay.
required for the audit committee, although if we do want to include finance committee, I think that'd be good for like school community engagement.
Okay. All right. We'll think about it in future. All right, so go ahead with the next item on the agenda is the principal's report.
All right, so we got our NM Vista designation finally released. And it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. Everybody can see this, right?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. So this is where our metrics came in. We barely edged on being a traditional school or designation, with a 31.1. That was a slight decrease from last year. And again, I'm gonna get into a little bit of the weeds with data here in just a second. But I wish I could go through comparatively. If you want to, you can access this link that's through the report, and you can access all the other schools. What I did commit to memory is, we want to compare ourselves to the district school, and we want to paint a picture that we're offering, that we're doing better than the district school. And in reading proficiency, if I remember right, the Jemez Valley district, reading across the board, it's hard to read because our school gets read as a K-8 school. So they're combining our elementary and our middle school scores and putting them together. With the Jemez Valley, they're disaggregating them from the elementary K-5, and then they have a separate designation for their middle school. So it's kind of hard to really gauge both of those because ours is a combined score. But I would say their highest that they reached was their reading proficiency. I believe they were somewhere around 30%. Right now, you can see our reading proficiency was just a little bit over or around 20%, and our math proficiency was about the same. The district actually had a low score of 10%. That means that we're doing better than our district in our district than math. This 2020 tells us, and again, I'll explain a little bit more. This 2020 tells us that we're taking a more even approach, that we're taking reading and math, and putting them on the same plane. The district, the way I'm interpreting their data is that they're putting all their marbles mostly with reading, and they've kind of pushed math off to the side. Okay, so that's how I'm interpreting that, right? And then our percentiles, which this is actually not too bad. When we talk about percentiles of growth, even though we're looking at proficiency, remember when we talk about proficiency, we're looking at students that are at grade level. The majority of our students that come to our school are not at grade level. They're very far behind, sometimes 3 and maybe even 4 grade levels behind, depending on their current grade. When we talk about growth, we're looking at, did they actually learn something? Did they move the needle? Did they learn? Now, typically in one school year, you should learn 1 year's worth of growth, right? Our school doesn't have that luxury. We have to do 1.5 and above years of growth. And what this is telling us is that even though our students are not proficient across the boards, we are experiencing some really good growth. It means that our students are learning. It's not where we want it to be, but they're on the right track. If this was really low in the 20s, we'd be in some trouble. But getting close to that 40th percentile, and even on this case, the 50th percentile, it means our students are growing. And that's an important thing to take into consideration. And the way they're getting some of our score is they're taking our proficiency and our growth levels. They're looking at our English language learners and our progress. They're looking at our regular attendance, our students in school, as much as they can be. They're looking at the qualified educators. So, they want to make sure that we're hiring educators that are qualified to teach the subjects that they are teaching. They look at per pupil expenditures, and I'm sure Greg can probably attest to this, but we um, we are spending every dime, every penny, even though they're not producing them anymore. But we're spending all the money that the kids bring into us for all their programmings. There's nothing left on the table, which is a good thing. The state wants us to see us use that money for our kids. School climate, and then alternate assessments, which we didn't have any students that took an alternate assessment on that. Okay, but you can access this report. You can go through and break down each item to see where the breakdowns are on that. Okay. Um, I'm gonna get back to what we have here. So we went through with our folks that are working with us, Dr. Torres, who's doing our data with us, and this is where we were. The year before I got there, the designation was still a traditional, and it was a 39.7, which is a difference of about 8.6 points, okay, from the school. So we dropped in that. That was a decrease.
Julian, can I need to interrupt you and ask you a question?
Sure,
What are the categories? Are traditional and what other categories do they have?
sure. Let me pull that up for you. So let's go to the about. So on this will actually give you where we're at. So here are your designation categories. You have Spotlight, so the highest recognition schools among the top 25% of the schools. Traditional, which is good standing, not in designation. And then they have the targeted support and improvement, which is TSI schools with consistently underperforming student groups. Additional target support and improvement school ATSI schools in need of support with one or more of the lowest performing groups of students. Comprehensive support and improvement, which is a CSI designated school, schools scoring at the bottom 5% of Title I schools overall, or have graduation rates below that threshold. And then more rigorous interventions, which are MRI, and schools not existing CSI status after 3 years of receiving support. We don't want to fall anywhere under below traditional, because that would require us to have to undergo certain corrective action plans, more paperwork, more work. It pretty much means that we're under an intervention ladder. Uh, and in some cases, some of these schools are on that for a 3 year. It's like a probationary
Oh
period.
my goodness. So how can we help to stay a traditional school? How can the board help to do that?
Um, hold me accountable for this school year. And, it's really nothing that the board can do. This all comes down to, let me go and get the indicators again. This comes down to these indicators right here. We want to see more proficiency, which we're working towards. And I just got to be honest, we're going to see some cracks in a good way, where we're going to have some folks that are proficient. But it's hard to reach that proficiency, not just for our students, but look, New Mexico is last in education, and part of that mark is because most of our kids are not proficient. They're graduating with not really being at 12th grade level reading or math. And so, it's just supporting programs, supporting any extra programs, which we've been doing this school year.
So then we just have to grow those things. So like you said, if it's not about anything else except for trying to grow closer to proficiency in with every student.
Yeah, proficiency is linked to growth. And so what I would say is, when I was a classroom teacher, I didn't really focus on proficiency because there weren't any kids in my class that were proficient. And there were some outliers, one or two out of a class, right? But overall, the audience that I was looking at, I needed to get that 8th grader who was reading at 3rd grade level. I needed to make sure I was trying to get them to close the gap as much as possible. And that's what we look at when we talk about growth. And this is where you hear folks like me say, hey, I'm a musician. I'm not a magician. I can't magically do things. If a kid comes to me in the 7th grade and they're reading at 3rd grade level, I'm not going to get them to grow 4 grade levels in one school year. Now, I've had a track record in science of bringing kids up a little over 3 years, but that's a steady program that took me 7 years to build. And I didn't always see that, right? That was one year. I would say on average, the reality for me was between 2 to 2.5 years worth of growth. So if a student came in at the 8th grade and they were reading at 3rd grade level, by the time they left my class, they were doing science in this case at a 3rd grade level. They were able to leave 2.5 grade levels, so that placed them about 5.5 grade, right? Midway through 5th grade. So it's still great gains. They're growing at an enormous rate. And I would hope that whoever I pass them on to next continues that work so that hopefully by the time they get to 12th grade, they've burned the fuse on both ends to where they close that gap and now they're getting closer to proficiency. So yeah, really it's just these indicators, right? It's stuff that happens, and I would say it's school climate. There's a lot of negative talk there. There's a lot of gossip at our school that I really need to clamp down on. But it's hard because none of us really have control over what people do or say when the school bell rings, right? So I think a lot of what I would say that the board can do is just ensuring that everything that we get out to parents whenever you're out representing the school, which you already do, everything is in the positive light, right? We don't tell people more than they need to know, but when it's something positive, we wanna stand on top of that school and shout it out to everybody that we're doing some good things, which I'll share with you here in a second. I'm gonna go back to this report here. So this EL progress rate, we dropped a little bit on this. So this is our students that come to us low in English language development. The year and a half before we were at 10.7, and then we dropped to an 8.33. And I'm going to talk on these drops here in just a second. I just want to make sure I get the data out to you. And then give me a second. Sorry, I have dogs over here scratching out the door. Apparently they don't like this cold weather. Um, Either that or they're hungry. So then I've got our regular attendance rate also dropped last year. So it was at about a 92.3 a year and a half ago. And or maybe almost, yeah. So the 23-24 school year, we were at a 92.3, which is really good. But then we dropped to an 82.4. And again, I have some really to touch on this. What I found out, and it wasn't until about mid-April, late April, our teachers were not taking attendance regularly. And I think this gave us a big discrepancy on this. So one of the things we're doing this year is ensuring that all of our teachers are taking adequate attendance for this. So simple fix, just making sure first thing is, and we worked on our attendance improvement plan, just making sure teachers are taking attendance.
That's number one, attendance and lunch count. Those are like big deals in our school. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, the nice thing is our math went up. Our math went up by 9 points, which is extremely well. Some schools only see 1 point or 2 point. We almost saw a 10-point increase in one year. And again, I'm going to speak on some of this in a little bit. Um, our median growth percentile went down. So this was language arts. So we were at a 66.5 and then we dropped all the way to 40. That's a big dip right there. And then our ELA, so these are our other subcategories. Our ELA, again, we were at a 16. We dropped by half. This is the proficiency rate index. So we're looking at proficiency now. How many students are at grade level, right? So the year before that, we had 16. And then the year after that, we only had about 9. So, we were just almost halfway. Science, there wasn't much because we actually didn't really, there wasn't really a steady science program. So that's pretty comparable. There was, 0.13, that's really nothing there. And then it was 0. And then the same with math. We didn't have anything the year before with proficiency. And then really this year, we didn't really have the proficiency. Overall, when we look at percentile of growth, remember, this is proficiency and this is growth. This tells us that our kids grew in math. So those kids that were far behind, they made some growth. They're not at proficiency, they're not at grade level, but they're learning and they grow. And the reason why I want to focus on all of this now at once is today is my 1 year anniversary with landing at the school. I landed here last year on the 18th, and you got to take in perspective, when I landed there, I didn't know what was really wrong with the school, right? Mr. Archuleta didn't tell me, hey, we're concerned about this department. Hey, we need to do something with these teachers. Hey, he didn't leave me with anything. Um, I don't want to rehash everything, but I'm sure folks know this, and I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I'm very honest. I asked questions all day when I was there. He either told me I was young, that I could handle punishment. He either told me that it was a good question and we'd get to that later, which we didn't. And then he promised 3 teachers almost $20,000 in stipends, which the school didn't have the money for.
Couldn't
So,
afford it all,
and
yes.
then the cherry on top was that he sent a disgruntled letter that he intended to send to the Public Education Commission, but ended up sending to all the charter leaders and some of the superintendents and Public Education Commission in the entire state. So that was my first day on the job. So I had no idea other than compliancy issues, right? When I looked at our report card and I saw, okay, I'm going into this school year with a 39.7, the idea is that the things that were put in place prior to me getting there, I shouldn't disrupt that stuff. I didn't have a reason to disrupt that stuff because the focus that was given to me was to focus on oversight and compliance. So it was the 90-day plan, it was the DASH plan, it was the safe school plan, it was the literacy plan. It was all these things that were out of compliance that I started focusing all my attention to because at that time I was concerned that they could have enough out of compliance issues to close the school down. So we also didn't have baseline data. So the person that Tony hired to do the first map assessment didn't do the map assessment. So I stepped in, and one of the first orders of business was realigning. And unfortunately, our baseline data for our short cycle assessment had to be in the about this time. So it was November, December, when it should have actually been the middle of the year. So we didn't have any comparative data. I didn't know what we didn't know, right? It was one of those situations. And so I kept every program that Tony put in place with the one exception. I only brought in supports. I brought in a tutoring. I brought in a tutoring sessions from Tutorfly. Hey, buddy. So I brought in tutoring sessions from Tutorfly, and we also brought in an IXL program to help with our supporting our students that needed that extra support. And what I saw naturally was that people gravitated, especially in the middle school, gravitated more towards putting their time in math as opposed to reading. And I have the data that backs it up because now looking at this, the kids that grew, the place that happened was math, right? So if I look at this EL progress, I don't know that our students were really properly being targeted and giving the right interventions. I didn't change that program. That's what we finished with. And the reason why I also didn't change those programs is by the time I got to February was when I finally had an opportunity, right? So I had about a week and a half in November, and then another, 2 weeks in December to try to get some things started, but also try to make some observations in the classroom. Oh, teacher evaluations was the other things that wasn't completed that I had to get on. Um, and then come February, the bigger changes that were made were the resignations of certain employees that were hired on by our school from Walatoa that were eating up our budget, right? So those are the four big things: IXL, Tutorfly, and some employees that we had to get rid of so that it didn't impact our budget immediately. And what I'm basically saying is whenever we look at these programs, language arts, we didn't do anything with that. We kept going with what we had. This year we have a brand new language arts program. So we're going to see if it's working by the end of this year, right? Math, we got a brand new math program. We have a brand new math instructor that's actually coming in person more times out of the week than the last guy. I expect this to be a little bit higher because we also have more supports in class, and we have after school programs that are supporting this. Uh, Science, there was no official curriculum, and now we have the indigenous science curriculum that Los Alamos National Labs is piloting with us, and we're one of 7 schools. So we have foundations now for every one of these content areas, even ELA, or sorry, our ELDs or ELs. When you saw this over here, I didn't see the curriculum for that, and so that grant that you saw earlier from Vista is supposed to be putting more stuff in place. And it's been a slow start with this program because it's so brand new, but the rest of everything else should be following. So basically what I'm saying is this. I didn't change much when I got in. The things that I focused on were compliancy with all the documentation. But now that I have this data, I'm glad that we made a leap and said, "Hey, I feel like certain curriculums and certain supports have to change." And I'm confident that when we get this data this time around this time next year, which is always too late to get the data to make a decision in August, right? Doesn't help us to get data in November when we start school in August and we need that data. I'll have short cycle assessment, which I think I can coincide with this. Uh, but this will be an opportunity for the board to hold me accountable for 1 full year of making sure that I made some big changes coming in to this current school year.
Yes, that's true. Another thing that you had to focus on was to make sure that we got all of our reimbursements that we
Yeah.
needed to get and that we were entitled to. So that was a big deal because if everyone needs to know, there was a lot of money left on the table from the previous administration and that we really needed that money. And we've got some of it. We didn't get all of it, but it was with Jodan's help that we got to get that money back for our school reimbursements. Yeah. RFRs, they call them. Yeah.
So, so this is a big year for us for many reasons. It's a big year for me professionally because I made some big changes at the school this August. We had a summer reading program running through June. This doesn't account for that program, right? These assessments that they're taking this data from happened in April. So if you think about it, I really only had a few weeks in January, February, and March, and I had 3.5 months to do changes if I was going to do any changes before these kiddos got assessed. And why would I disrupt a program if I don't know how effective it is, right? Or ineffective it is. And so I made the leap based on the observations going into this year that we needed to probably ramp things up. And I'm glad we did because I don't feel like it was good enough. And I was just kind of overseeing my predecessor's items that he put in place because to disrupt a system midway through the year or a little over midway through the year could have even yielded worse results because then teachers need more time to get those programs, to learn those programs and get them off the ground to be effective. Um, I feel like that would have been a loss of time. So I feel like we did the right thing starting off this school year with some new programs. Is there any questions on our Vista designation or the data that I'm presenting?
I don't have any questions. Anybody else?
Okay. I'll move on with a couple of things, and I know there was something else that was brought up that I want to address, but I'll address it towards the end of this, towards the end of the report here. And so we had our flu shot clinic on the 22nd. This is a great success. We had a handful of students take that opportunity. It was provided by the Hemis Department of Health. And they did fantastic. We're really happy that they've been partnering with us on certain things, and we're getting some new partnerships from the Pueblo. So excited to see that. We need that. Um,
Um, did we open the shot clinic to like all students and staff that day on the 22nd of October?
correct.
Okay, so did the students have to get permission slips or something filled
They
out?
did.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's a good thing.
Yes. We had 505 Locker donate some jackets to our kiddos. They were handed out, about 2 weeks ago. We had student council help us do that, and every student received a jacket that wanted one. I think there were 2 students in middle school that said they didn't really want one or were concerned about it fitting, but 4 different schools gave us either new or gently used jackets, and it worked out great. The kiddos had a good time. We have some pictures, and I'm working with Jensen right now to ensure that not only are they posted on things like this are posted on our Facebook, but I've also asked our IT to start us a Instagram account and a TikTok account. So I told the teachers I'm not a TikTok person. I told them I'm not a TikTok person, but if I have to be one of those TikTok principals that's dancing around the school and making sure that people see us in a good positive light, that I was going to drag every one of our teachers with me.
That's a great idea. You should do a TikTok
Yeah.
So get
with your
ready.
guitar on the bus. Make a school bus song with the
Now you're
kids on the
talking.
bus and ride the bus with your guitar singing a new bus song
I
other than
will. I
Wheels
will.
on the Bus, but you need to make up a bus song and do it in TikTok it and send it out. Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
say that come January, you're gonna see a big blitz on social media, and we're gonna see what kind of buzz we can generate.
I think that's a good idea because it's a good way to promote the school too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
Exactly.
idea.
So yeah, I'll keep you posted once we get all that stuff going. Chess club. We had a gentleman come in who's a veteran. You probably know him. Odell is his name. Very nice guy. He would like to come in and offer a chess club for our school. So we're hoping that we can offer this every Friday from 2 to 3 while the staff is in our all staff development. Those students that are interested in participating will be in a separate room and participating in chess club. So
Yay. Sounds
yeah, I'm
good.
excited to bring that in. I'm terrible at chess. Play
Me
me
too.
checkers, but I can't play chess for anything. Yes, David.
Hey, comment?
Yes, sir.
Excuse the interruption, Mr. Jordan, but I just want to make a comment to thank you overall for making a lot of positive changes for our school and for our kids. I know sometimes things take a time to notice, but you've made a lot of changes real quickly because you see all the kids that are making progress, and I applaud you for that. We're making a difference, and you can see it from here too, that the kids are willing to go to school. Even they walk down there. I see them every day walking by my house over here. So you're making a big difference, Mr. Jordan, and thank you for that. So keep up the good work. And not only to you, but to also the staff that are following your footsteps. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And that's that support that Margie was talking about. That's what I would ask is what you're saying. Those words help me and the staff, and it's a team effort, right? You guys are taking care of the business end with me, and I'm got one foot in with the business end, and then the other foot in with school climate, and so
Yeah,
you hit it right on the spot. It's a lot of those teachers there. We've got some great teachers
yeah,
at that school, and it's just letting them shine and letting them do what they're good at.
yeah.
And
And
thank you for
after,
inviting the community too for that chess club. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that turns out. We'll be sending information out. We wanted to start this Friday, but it didn't make sense to start this Friday and then have next week off. I'd like to have the continuation. So I'm going to talk with Odell and see if we can go ahead and offer it The first, the last 3 weeks that we have in December before we go on winter break, offer it on those Fridays, and then when we come back for the rest of the school year.
Sorry, David, I talked over you. Go ahead. Do you have anything else more to say, David? Because I interrupted you. Yeah.
No, that's fine. I'll come back to me. Give me a couple of minutes.
All right.
One more thing too about the chess club really quickly. I went to a wedding for, for a gentleman in like that weekend that you were in Florida at a wedding to Jodan, and it was so good because this guy he graduated from UNM in biochemistry, and he's really smart. He works at the labs and stuff like that. But there was a lot of young people there at his wedding. He's like 32 years old or something, but he they were his chest friends in the third and fourth grade, and they stayed in touch, and all of them are so smart and so successful. And I actually contribute that to them playing chess all these years. So that's what makes me happy about that.
I wish I would have gotten into it a little bit more. There weren't too many opportunities in Roy to do that. I kind of went somewhere else, but it's funny. I have a couple friends that are, I mean, excellent chess players, and one of them in particular, he plays online with folks from around the world, and I laugh at him because you want to talk about patience. These guys are so cognizant about the moves that they make that sometimes a game lasts a week. And I'm not kidding you. I was hanging out with him the other day and he said, "Hang on, I got to check my move because it's my move." And so he moved, and he said, "Would you believe me that it took me a full day to decide that I wanted to move this chess piece here?" And I said, "I don't know how you guys do." So he said that
Wow.
he said he's actually gone with this one guy that he was playing. I think he said he was playing against a guy from Poland. And he said that he keeps playing him because he's one of the better players that he's ever played against. He said it took them 2 weeks to get through that game. So that's
Teaches
patience.
you a lot. Teaches you a
Yeah.
lot, I tell you. Yeah.
On the next item here, we have yearbook. Our new yearbook vendor is going to be Remember Me. Walatoa uses them, and because we've been talking with them, we are going to do our own yearbook. And
Thank
we
you.
were able to secure a $1 off. And so each yearbook is going to be about $9. I think the total,
Uh-huh.
I think we are going to order about 60 yearbooks, which would give us enough for a student, staff, possibly board members if they would like to have those. And yeah, $9 a book. I don't think I've ever seen them that cheap. We may end up doing what I'd like to do is do a fundraiser at some point next year. I think we can raise enough money to buy everybody their yearbooks.
Yeah,
And
that's true. But again, I was going to say we can up the price and sell them for more too if you wanted to. If you could pay the vendor $9, and then last year and the years in the past have always been in even before COVID were $20 yearbook and two for 35. And I always used to buy two and give them out, keep one and give one out to somebody who couldn't afford one or whatever. But
sure.
if you want to buy everybody one just so everyone has one, then that's a good idea too.
Yeah, and if we do a fundraiser, I think it'd work the same, right? I think we would raise, I mean, look, that carnival raised almost $800. If we did something like that in the springtime, we raise, let's just say we up the ante and we get to $1,000. That means we've raised enough to buy everybody a yearbook, and we have about $600 that goes into student activities fund.
That would be great. We could do a bingo or a concession or something like that. But yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get to that next year. Yeah.
Our summer reading program. Yesterday, I got our official letter. We have been invited to participate once more in our summer reading program. So I would say, our staff, I sent it to them this morning. They can anticipate that the month of June will be designated. We'll probably have to go one extra week in July because we are going that 1 week in June, so we can't start off that first week. But we want to try to do 4 weeks of our summer reading program, and that'll probably run from the second week of June all the way to the first week of July. But we're getting more information about that now. But I was just grateful that they allocated the money to bring it back another year.
That's great. And also I wanted to start maybe in January to come and visit the school and let them know about like the reading program. Like you read so many books that at home and your parents sign off on it, then we get to put your name in a hat to go to the Isotopes game on the field and someone gets to throw out the first pitch and stuff like that from the school.
Oh
So
yeah, that'd be
I can
great.
help with that. Yeah, but I mean, and then that gets people, if you read so many books, you get to go to the game and then your name gets in a hat like that. So it's, I think if we start doing that in January, by the time season comes in April, then um, we can participate with the isotopes.
Oh, that'd be great. See, David, that's why she logged in as Pete Rose right there. See, there was a meaning
Yes,
that I
yes.
knew there was a reason for that.
Yeah, that
Uh,
and I love baseball.
heck yeah. The next thing I have here, just a reminder, we have our Thanksgiving lunch, our Thanksgiving dinner lunch. That's going to be this Thursday, and it's I say two lunches per family. So, if there's a family of five, they get two extra lunches, right? One for mom, one for dad, or one for mom, one for grandma, however they want to divvy that up. They recommended that we don't charge. That's gonna be a little bit of a hit. Just a heads up on how many we serve. If you figure we have 40 kids, I'm just gonna throw this out there. It's feeding the 40 kids plus two extra
Hmm.
people that come with them. So it's
120.
yeah, so it's 120 folks. Usually most schools charge $5, but I know we
Yeah.
talked about this and we said we didn't want to charge them. So
No.
so that's the school's gonna absorb that
Mhm.
that on our finance on our
No,
end.
yeah, we won't charge you. Invite someone to the Pueblo ways. You invite someone to your house, you feed them. You don't charge them. You don't say, "Hey, come in for feast day." Oh, by the way, it's $5. No, we would never, ever, ever charge at the Pueblo for that. So, I mean, if we got $5 for everyone who ate at our house, yeah, we'd be rich. But anyway, but no, I think that's we need to do it. And if you need for us or for me to donate a turkey, or if we need to call Albertsons and get donations for turkeys or something, or Smiths or something, maybe we could do that, but it's already coming on Thursday, so it's kind of late
Yeah.
right now.
Do we need any cranberries,
Do
sauces, or green
you
beans or
need
anything?
donations from the board or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
I
can.
haven't I haven't been approached for that. Like I say, this is a tradition that has been there before I got there. So I'm just kind of letting folks kind of do what they're good at. And I feel that if they need some extra support, extra help, they'll reach out. I'm still at this conference, so I can text Lynette and just see if there's anything that they do need. Most of the stuff that they get, it's ordered through Cisco, and they go kind of that route. So yeah, I'll check in with her and I'll see if there's anything that they need between now and then. Let's see here. So report plans. These are things that have been completed over the last few months. We got our TESSER, so that's our tribal education report. I got that completed and it was finalized and approved. Our BMEP, which is our how will we put this? It's our multi cultural education program report that was completed. We got our Title 6 Indian education report completed. That's something that had to go through Shendo's group so that we could get the $10,000 or $12,000 that they're allocating to our school. And then the big one, which was the attendance improvement plan, which hadn't been completed for a few years. So I had a lot of support. I haven't heard back from them on whether it was approved or not. Well, it said that it was approved. I just haven't heard back from them on if they've reviewed it to see if it was compliant, but it is completed, and that was a big endeavor. I even went to a conference for that with Harold Russell about a month and a half ago, so back in September. So I've been trying to make sure that all this stuff is taken care of, and now we have our comparability report due in 2 weeks. That's something that's new to me, so I'll be reaching out to the state to see if they can support me in that. And let's see here. And right now I'm attending the Safe School fall conference. A lot of it is repeat from the spring. So I actually left early today and went to the school to check on things. I ate lunch and then I went to the school. And tomorrow I'll be finishing off the rest of the conference. I just want to ensure that the folks that are there that are representing the Safe School Bureau and the attendance folks all kind of give me that verbal, hey, we've looked at your plan. Let's sit down and review that because I want to make sure it all looks good on our end.
Is it
Uh,
at the Embassy Suites?
no, we're at the Marriott Pyramid.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear sports. Basketball season's about to start. We have a sign up sheet. We're still debating on whether we're going to offer a junior high team because we don't have enough players. And it's been a big complaint. I'm just going to call it that because that's what it is, that we don't offer sports. Well, we can't offer sports if we don't have enough kids. So
Yeah.
one of the complaints from one of our parents was, well, I want my daughter to play volleyball. I said, well, if
Mm-hmm.
you want your daughter to play volleyball, you tell her friends to come to our school. We have an athletic director who's willing to do this. But this year we had 4 girls that were interested in playing volleyball in junior high. We don't have enough players. They were supposed to move our 8th graders up to Walatoa, but it sounds like Walatoa didn't even have enough players, so they didn't get to do that. Now, we can send our athletes to the district school, which would be the Hemis Valley, and if they don't offer that sport, then they can find the next school that's closest to them that offer that sport. But as a charter school, we also have to be very careful with that because that could be a recruitment tool for their school.
Right, exactly. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
we're kind of caught in a really hard place. We don't have a whole lot of numbers, which we're going
Yeah.
to talk about in a little bit, and we want to offer all this stuff, but we need numbers. So I
Well,
get
how many on a team do you need for volleyball, for a volleyball team, for girls volleyball?
I believe 7.
8,
Yeah,
8 girls for volleyball.
so 8 would make, yeah.
Yeah, probably about eight.
I also have a comment though, Mr. Jordan.
Yes, ma'am.
So would it be possible? Well, I think just with communication, I think that we would be able to do co-ed as well, because most schools are willing to work with that. Like
So
say if there wasn't enough girls or boys, like say if we're gonna play the Jemez Day School Eagles, we could just let them know while our team only has, a co-ed. So maybe for that game they can, you know, do something like that to, help
Mhm.
us out on that. And
so
even for the middle school, is that possible?
It wouldn't be for middle school. So Coach Luis went to the community meeting last Thursday. That was for
Uh-huh.
basketball. The elementary, they'll allow us to do a co-ed team. That's no problem.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
with elementary, we have more kiddos, so we can actually we don't have to do co-ed, but it's something we have to decide on what we're gonna do. Are we gonna do co-ed? Or are we gonna
Oh
do a
yeah.
boys team and a girls team? We do have enough players for that. The hard thing
Okay.
is with junior high, we're an NMAA school, and we pay
Okay.
our
Yeah.
dues. And so, the only way we would get away with co-ed is if we go to the charter school league, but we would have to play teams that are probably out of Albuquerque, and the competition isn't going to be
No,
MAAs.
no,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
no, no.
And
I just
and
didn't know how many we could start recruiting.
Yeah, and so there's some disagreement with some folks there where hey, we have 6 girls on a team. We may be able to get away with a junior high girls team this year. And what's also nice about that is there's a quarter rule, which means our 8th grade girls can technically and guys, but our 8th graders can play junior high and they can also play varsity. They
High
just can't
school, right?
play they just can't play more than 5 quarters in a day in a 24-hour period. So
Mm.
some of our students and I have to say, if we go that route, it's going to be up to parents to decide whether they want to, hey, my daughter is going to go ahead and play with a junior high team, but she's also going to go and start getting playing time with Walatoa Charter High School on the varsity team. I'm a big fan of that. I know I had a disagreement with one of our coaches about, not wanting to move our 8th graders up, but that was coming off of a negative personal experience that was exclusive to that individual. My response
Mm-hmm.
was I started varsity as 8th grader and I wasn't even a basketball player and I was recruited out of high school. I had opportunity to play college basketball. Had I not had that development as an 8th grader being placed on the big leagues, I don't think I would have
Mm-hmm.
developed as a player.
Yeah.
So, look, there's a trade-off. The other thing is I'm also concerned with player injury and player health. right? It's fun
Mhm.
to play as many games as you want to, but we also have to draw a fine line that we're not exerting our athletes to the point of injury. So we have to find the balance. But yeah, this week we're gonna decide how we're gonna go. Elementary shouldn't be too much of a decision. It's either two teams or one co-ed team. But middle school is gonna get tricky. I don't think we don't have enough for a guys team. We just don't. Girls, we might have enough. We might just have enough. And I'm leery on playing, they said, well, we have six girls. I said, so if one gets injured, you're playing five people, and if two go
Yeah.
out, forfeiting every game. That's defeating. That's
Mhm.
exhaustion, and that's a
Yep.
lot of conditioning. But if we got a seventh player and we had an extra two people to rotate and we can find the balance, whoever's coaching them, I think we can make that work.
Yeah.
Do you know who the coaches are going to be?
Cause
Oh,
I'm excited for my Paisley, cause I'm into
Mhm.
sports and I want her to be playing.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. No, exactly. We
Is
were
it?
still talking about that, but the only two people, well, the four people that are coach, because they have to, if we're going NMAA for junior high, they have to be a licensed coach. Uh,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and it's me, Luis, Kira, and Harold. And Luis will not be able to take on basketball right now. He's doing his program for school and dealing with some family stuff. I just don't have the capacity to coach at all. So if we did
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
we want to keep things internal with a coaching license. If not, and they don't want to take that on, then we would probably outsource to Walatoa to see if anybody there is available.
I see.
Okay.
But
All right.
I'm leaving
Okay.
that to, with all due respect, I'm leaving that to our athletic director. That's why we hired him. I'm
Yeah.
do that.
Louise can deal with it. Right. Right.
Yeah. So this brings us to enrollment. We need more students. Um, we just need more students. We had one disenroll about a month ago, and then yesterday we had three students from one family disenroll.
Yeah.
Again,
Oh no.
it goes with the old saying that good news travels fast, but bad news travels faster. We talked about this in our retreat. There's a negative image that's surrounding our school, and it was there since I got there. And there's
Yeah.
this, the school's
We
closing down.
know.
They're not learning, and there's no evidence to back any of these things up.
Yeah,
Um,
but we know who it is, and we need to get rid of them. We do know who it is.
Yeah, and
So
so, looking at how we go about things, now there's going to have to probably be a reduction in staff. I've already talked with Angie and Greg, and they're running the numbers to see exactly where I have to make those cuts. Yes, David.
Those three kids that transferred out, where did they go to school?
I'm not sure, but I overheard that they went to the valley.
Wow, that's too bad.
It is.
Uh, somebody's giving up bad information to the community.
Again, and this is what's hard. I can't anything that happens outside of school, I can tell people, hey, I heard that you say that. It's evidence based, right? Like I can't stop people. That's their freedom of speech, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah,
And I'm talking with those individuals, but if it's one person in particular, if it's staff members that are doing this, they're kind of just they're putting themselves in a bad position because those kids are what brings money to the school, and that's
yeah.
what funds those salaries. And so if it is staff members, all I can say is that those staff members might not be around very long because they made the decision to put us in that situation.
it's every kid that we can bring on board to the school generates over $11,000 a year in revenue to our school. And yes, we have to pay teachers. I saw that money in the finance report, how much the teachers' insurance is, their pay is, and all of that. So it's barely going to break even if we have, 60 kids to pay all of our staff and everything. So
Yeah.
now we had 44, and now four gone. We have literally 40 kids in our school, so we really have to do an open house, send out flyers. But like you said, we'll finish out this year, and then we'll have to start strong at the beginning of the new year.
We want to start recruiting for the 80th. We've already got funding. So those kids that left, ironically, we already got funding for them.
Good, good.
So but we want to start bringing in kids for the 80th day so that we have a higher projection for next year. Because I don't want to report 40 kids for next year, right? Because we based this year's projections off of 54, and now we're at 40. That's 14 kids. Um, that means it's probably 2 teacher positions based off of last year's numbers. And then, looking at the trajectory of this school since the pandemic hit, this school has had a historically low enrollment over the last 5 years. And so it's gone down and down and down and down and down. And now we're trying to finally pick up the pieces and say, well, how do we stop this and how do we get more recruitment in? And best thing we can do is just keep offering more programs and show
Yeah.
growth. And that's why this year is a big year for us for more reasons than one.
Okay.
So
We'll have,
next thing is, and maybe this kind of helps us with our enrollment, we're planning a winter extravaganza. We want to have a community event. We don't want it to just be something that's exclusive for our students. Anything that we do moving forward, we want to open to the community as long as they have kids that are potential enrollees. So we don't want just anybody walking off the Pueblo and saying, we're coming to the event over here, because that creates hassle. What we want to do is say, if you have a child and you're interested in seeing what our school is about, you are more than welcome to participate in any of the events that we have. And I think that's the best way that we can recruit. This winter extravaganza, we want to have a art gallery. We want to showcase John's fantastic work that he's doing with our kids in our cultural art program. We want to have live music, and I've already volunteered to perform, and I've also volunteered to help bring some performers to do some things there, as well as some of our kids maybe doing a couple of songs. We want to have local performers such as dancers. I've talked to John Toya as well. He said that he has some family members that would love to come out, and if you know some other folks that would like to participate in this, I think this is great community outreach and recruitment. And we're gonna see if we can get a bonfire going in the back of that school that
uh,
to
I don't
celebrate.
care so much. I don't care so much about a bonfire, but I do would like to see if it's not at late, really late at night or in the evening or dark, if we could have vendors. Because 2 years ago, we had brought in December, we had asked community members, like you said, if they were parents of students there, they got to sell their goods, like they made aprons or crocheted, kitchen towels or whatever like that, made earrings. Even Adrian Wall came because his daughter, and was, Maria Lopez, the other secretary, forgot her name,
Mhm. Sandy?
Shondini's daughter, yeah. Um, and then he brought his art, to sell and stuff like that. So people actually sold things in our cafeteria, and they was limited to like a 10, 11 vendors, and they didn't even have to pay a vendor's fee. They just, everyone could come to the school, look around, like you said, and have some hot chocolate cookies and see the vendors and stuff like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I brought this to the staff. This came about from last Friday's staff meeting, and 100% across the board, this is what they suggested. This is what they wanted to see, and the big thing was a bonfire, because schools don't do bonfires anymore. I
Hmm.
I didn't realize that either, but when I first started in Roy, they had a big reporter come out. It was a national reporter, and I think it was in the USA Today, but they highlighted my school, and it's supposed to be this tiny little fire. Well, they went and stacked all these crates, and it was like a 25-foot bonfire, and people
I'm
from
afraid of
every nearby town showed up for that. And so, like you said, I'm kind of leaving it up to the folks locally. When this kind of fits in with enrollment, right? And I don't mean to make light of a situation. I'm just kind of, this is the best way that I can kind of explain things, and what I try to explain to the staff. When you're going out and recruiting people, especially there on the Pueblo, you have to use people who are recognized. I'm new still to them, right? And the way that I told my staff this is, think about me selling Bibles out of the back of my car, right? If I show up to anybody's house there on the Pueblo trying to sell them a Bible, they either going to say, "Who the heck are you?" Or they're not going to open the door and they're going to shut the light off. I'm just not a familiar face yet. I'm not a household name there yet. I will be. I'm just not there yet, and I recognize that. So What happens if Norma shows up? What happens if John Toya shows up? Then it's, hey, good to see you. The foot's in the door. Come on in, right? What are you selling? What do you got back there? And so, David, to all your point about what can the board do, I think you all know the folks there more than I do. Right. I'm still getting established. I'm still networking and there's some great folks there, but I haven't earned their trust yet. But
Yeah.
you all have their trust and you all know them and some of our staff know them and have their trust. That's going to be the big recruitment. I'll go out there, I'll make the videos, I'll shake the hands, but really the trust is built with you all that are there, your community members. They know that at the end of the day I drive an hour to go home and the rest of them drive up the road and go to their families, and they know you all. And so I think that's the best thing. The best recruitment is just maybe we're talking about doing videos with highlighting our staff, with interviewing board members, interviewing community members. I know folks have brought up the idea about bringing an alumni group back. Folks of the alumni of Mustangs. There's things that we can do within our reach, and we have plenty of time to do that right now. Um, but that's just kind of my 2 cents on how I feel about recruitment, right? I don't want to put all the work on you all. I'm definitely putting in that work, but it's a trust thing, and I get it. I'm still new there, um, and that's something that will be earned with time. So I'll end here and then I can open up for other questions. Lease agreement, I'm in the process of finishing that up. We're looking at getting a 5-year lease. It's going to be structured similar
Yeah,
to
what is it?
Walatoa's. And then once this is complete, we're going to send it to our attorney for a quick review, and then I'll send it over to TJ Loretto for another review, and then we'll just go back and forth. And then because David, now you're will be president during this time, I'll be in communication with you on signatures for this item.
To sign the
Okay, no
lease, right?
problem.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then let's see here. The PEC is having a board celebration dinner. I sent the information out to you all. They extended it to the 21st. I just heard about this today with what the registration is because I registered myself with Solare. I might have already messed up with that. It sounds like it's one registration per board. So they're not allowing any significant others or any guests. It's pretty much if there's 5 people on the board, you say out of the 5, how many are going. So I don't know if David or Margie, one of you guys want to fill that out and maybe just send a quick email and say, hey, who's interested in going to the dinner?
Yeah, because it's due, like you said, by Friday, but the dinner's actually in January, so
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, so
So
we
I don't
can
know.
do that.
Think about it, and maybe like I said, I'll leave that to either you or Margie. I'll check in on Thursday, with one or both of you guys to see. And if you'd like, I mean, I'm more than happy to fill it out. But I know I filled it out for Solari, and I put one, so I got to call Rachel now and ask her, hey, I think I need to change that. We need to find out how many people are going because I just marked me down.
Yeah,
Margie can go for Riverside, because if I go by myself, I'll be in trouble too.
Well, everybody can go. All board members are invited.
Oh,
no,
I
he
thought you
means his
said,
spouse. He wants his wife to go.
Just not the spouses,
That's what
I
they
thought,
that's what they told me today.
just
I thought
by
you said
ourselves.
one.
That's what he
Uh,
said. He can't
Yeah.
go by himself, so he doesn't
So
want to go.
David, you're fine going by yourself because we'll
And
still
he has,
be there together.
Yeah. Yeah. So recruitment for board members, just keep in mind the board cannot fall below 5 members. So it's important to keep Susan on up until you
yeah,
find a replacement should she decide she wants to step off. Find her replacement
gotcha.
first before you let her go. So keep her on. And then we just want to make sure that you're filling in those positions strategically with folks that have a little bit of pull or are the face of that pueblo, right? And have that in their best interest. And my apologies, I just was looking at the chat. I didn't I didn't see this. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to get caught up with the chat. There's only okay. And then I didn't bring this up. Let me just kind of end with this. And then, there's really not much stuff down the road. We want to still try to get all our board members their Gmail so that you have easy access to all the documents that we have here. Committees, you guys are already on the road to that, so that's good. I know there was a question about discipline at the school. And I'd kind of defer to Patrick with a law enforcement background. We had an incident. Our school is not by any means a bullying school. We have one or two isolated incidences here and there, but we have a really good student culture there. And I would be willing to bet that if you go to the Jemez Valley, they have some severe infractions. And I know that because I'm at the Safe School Summit and their superintendent brought up a situation that happened last month that was very severe. I
And
was
were you shocked about it? Were you
I
like
was
shocked about what
I
he said?
I'm I'm no I'm desensitized because I worked at
Oh,
Marco Mijo Academy where we had a
uh-huh.
gun incident every other week,
My
Like
goodness.
that's just what you get kind of used to and you expect that. I mean, even at Turquoise Trail, we had incidences with weapons being on campus and fights. I mean, fights are typically, I'd say at a school, the schools that I was at, we probably had a fight once a week for a while, right? We don't have that here right now. So by bringing in the restorative justice program, there's always going to be one or two isolated incidences, but the incidences aren't as severe as other schools. So I just want to get that out of the way. This year, we've had two incidents, and one of them involved another kid spitting on another kid, which is absolutely disgusting and gross. Now, the parent was upset with me because apparently I didn't do anything about it. The hard thing is nobody witnessed who did it. I can't do anything if I don't know who did anything. And it would lose my trust with students and staff if I went through and threatened every single student, especially the innocent ones, or I went and did a search of every single student. My whole thing is this, and this is what I told the parent. We don't have any eyewitnesses of who did it. I did a complete investigation of it. Interviewed each student individually. It took me 3 days to do that. Nobody saw anything. I don't have any witnesses. It's discussing. I did have two young men that apologized because they were outside playing a sports game and they were spitting on the floor outside, right on the dirt. But every witness stated that those two students were on the complete opposite side of the basketball goals, that those students didn't come into any interaction with those kids. And what I told the parent is this: if this happens again, then we have a problem. But if it doesn't happen, then those students know that they did wrong. And we did exactly what we needed to do, which was we stopped that from happening again. We mitigated it. It hasn't happened since. It was a one-time incident. Now I don't condone that, but I also can't go after people if I don't know who to punish, right? Or to dole out consequences. And it's not fair to give consequences to an entire class of students when 95% of them are innocent. You lose the trust of people. And I would go a restorative route. That same student also had an incident with somebody being, calling him names. And that parent said, well, it's that kid that spit on him. And I said, how do you know? Well, I just know. And Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong. If we're in the court of law and the judge is saying, how do you know this kid did it? And you say, hey, I just know he did it and there's no evidence. What happens in that case?
It gets tossed. Yeah, it
You
would be
know,
dismissed.
it's to me it's simple and I want to comfort the parents. I want to let them know that we're trying to be we don't want to be reactionary, right? We want to take things from being erring on the side of precaution. We want to teach our kids, but that's just a tough situation and I get it. She was a upset parent. She had every right to be upset. I was upset about it, but you can't just go around pointing the finger and expecting me to dole out justice when we don't have any eyewitnesses. So that takes me kind of to my
Yeah.
next. I'll be working with
Oh,
Teresa
sorry,
to.
Jordan. Yes,
Sure,
I
sure.
have a comment. Yeah, as a parent, finding that out someone did that to your child, I mean, that's horrible.
It is.
I'd be mad. I'd be very upset, and I'd be looking for consequences too. But I mean, if there was those two students, I think that those two students should have gotten suspension, even though I don't know. It's kind of like somebody did it, though.
Who
Somebody did it.
who did it?
So, yeah, so someone did it. but they just don't want to. Yeah, I'm hearing with my, some of the people that are telling me they know who did it. I was like, well, why aren't they speaking up?
And that's what it
So I
has to
don't
be.
know. I guess it's hard. You can't just go around accusing either.
Yeah. Because then we lose the trust of the kids and the family, right? If I pick the wrong person and the family says, hey, now you're picking on my kid, there's
Yeah,
no evidence.
true.
It's your word against his. So this kind of goes to my point. I'm working with Teresa. We're supposed to meet on Thursday. We're gonna go look at capital outlay money and see if the state legislature will earmark a small amount of money off for our school so that we can install a really nice security camera system. We don't need too many cameras, and I talked to Margie about this. Even if we had to go get some cheap ones temporarily, I'm surprised that the school has made it this far without any type of surveillance or security. But it's time right now, and I'll be working with Teresa and Diego to help me get some capital outlay funding to get us a really nice system. And we want it for the external. We only need 2 cameras in the building, really. And the external, we probably need 4 or 5. So that's a total of about 6 or 7 cameras. And I think that will give us enough coverage to protect so that in the event like something like this happens, now we have some video footage that we can go through and review. And that's kind of all I have. Are there any other questions? There's been some incidents of people that have smelt things in the bathroom. Today was one of them when I got there. I thought it smelled a little funny, but I observed all of our students in the classes. None of them seemed off. None of them had red eyes. None of them were having distractive behavior. And again, it's just one of those situations where we have to make sure we're monitoring. I've asked the teachers to reinstall some of them have already been doing it, but making sure they have the bathroom log. And then we're just going to have to get in the habit of checking the bathrooms after somebody steps out every single time. Check the bathrooms for a while.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Anybody have any questions about the principal's report?
I got a comment.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Thank you for the report. A lot of information to share, and it's good to hear this kind of information. It just gives me an idea that the school is busy and things are happening. If nothing was happening, then we wouldn't be hearing any report, good or bad. Yeah, so things like this happen in every school, every location. And going back to the students that transfer to different places, uh, you know, to me, just thinking, I'm hearing this for the first time, and being living here in this community for a long, long time, it just makes me wonder who's doing all this negative campaigning on their own behalf. Because I personally think Riverside is a great school. We got good staff, good food, good location, and it's a safe environment. But somebody is causing trouble, and I think personally, I think more kids can come to this school, Riverside, if uh, good messages, positive messages were sent from tribal administration.
Mhm.
And, we met with the tribal administration officers, governors personally, and they said they would come down. And their term's almost up. They never came down. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
uh,
we need to get that.
something that should have happened on their own anyway. They don't need to be told. Matter of fact, they should be coming down there at least once a month just to show their presence at all the schools, not only Riverside, but all the schools, including Himazawi. Um, but I plan to, be visible within the community, and whoever I can talk to, put some positive messages in their ear and talk good about the school. And maybe at your next staff meeting, I'd like to meet with the teachers and just to let them know that I was put in place by 1,000 votes. And, just.
As the new president. Okay, I get it. Yeah. You overwhelmingly won your position. Okay.
Yeah, to just, thank the staff and, just encourage them again to pull forward all together as a community, as a school. I know good things will happen. It's just uh we just need to get to the bottom of who's behind all this stuff.
Sure.
And it's not fair, And I see I see kids coming from the other school on campus. They just walk around the village.
Mhm.
They're not doing nothing but the library. They're causing trouble being naughty over there too.
Mhm.
And they really don't have to me, just by observing, they really don't have any academic structure. So they just walk around the village.
Yeah.
That's what I see. But we can regroup as a board and as a school to kind of strategize what we're gonna do. And I think these new events that are happening in December, I think that will give a good message to our community. So we just need to stay together as a board and share ideas. So thank you for everything, Jordan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I have three things really quick. One is, so did you all invite the governors, to the, Thanksgiving luncheon on Thursday for Thursday?
Yes, we did. We did ask the front office to make sure that those invitations were extended to them.
Good.
Okay, and then so yeah, that's a big deal. And like you said, personalized invitations always need to go out to the governors and addressed in a way that they know that they're honoredly invited to this or whatever. Number two, remember the Charter School Coalition conference at the Tamiya, December 10th through the 12th. You said that you registered, you're going, and you're going to check with Angie and see if we had money for the board to go. Do you know if we can go to that?
Yeah, I talked to Angie. It's $550 per
The
registration.
person. Mhm,
And she recommended that since the board has already got their training, just to
mhm.
send me.
Oh, okay, because I didn't know, because I knew that was the time limit was coming up to register. Um, and then the third thing was December 12th. I want everyone to know that I don't know who changed the calendar, but I signed off on the calendar as a president, and I never signed off on being off on election day on November 4th. And I saw that they were closed on the 4th. And then we signed off on being closed on the 12th because we're always closed December 12th for Guadalupe Day. And so that got swapped around some way, and the kids were off on election day on Tuesday the 4th, but it shows that they're in class on December 12th. So Joe, Dad, and I were talking about if we can make it like an asynchronized day or whatever, where we could say that um, we're having school online or at home or whatever, having school in the Pueblo, or due to a traditional event happening December 12th, we'll be having school at the plaza or something like that. And then if you can get the student council together, probably, or maybe even the eighth grade, I don't even know how many eighth graders you have. They need to start raising money for their graduation ceremony and all that. So, and have them sell stuff like they used to sell, like hot chocolate and things like that for the school, maybe baked goods, like a parents bring bake sale stuff, and the school set up a table at the plaza on December 12th, and we sell for money, and the money's raised for the school. So
Sure,
I
sure.
don't
Yeah,
know
and
what you guys think about that. Yeah.
yeah, we're talking about because that's outreach, so we definitely want to have a booth out there somewhere. We could
Right.
go two routes with that because I was talking with Dr. Arrow on how we needed to have some form of alignment with their charter school, right? That's what the PEC is looking to see, is that we're collaborating,
Mhm,
and the easiest thing we could do is say, hey, we collaborated on a calendar. And
mhm,
so we can either have school and say that they're on a field trip and take all of our
mhm,
kiddos on a field trip that day to
mhm.
the
That'd be
Pueblo.
good. Mhm.
Or we can just say it's asynchronous, and if you want to show up, you just show up and do your thing. So we're kind of just weighing out what we think works best with that.
I think field trip works best because asynchronous, you only get so many days, and if it snows or something, we need to save those for those snow days, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. So field trip works good for me if you all are taking a vote. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know what Walatoa Charter does on December 12th, but with our school, we've always been present with a table in the community of some sort. So
Who
it
do
would
I
be
reach
good if
out
we
to
did
talk
that.
to about that?
Nobody, we don't have to. We just need to talk amongst ourselves and see what, if we want to do it, then anybody, this is the one and only time the Pueblo people can actually sell at an event. Other times on feast days and stuff, we cannot sell at our own feast days and all that. But on December 12th, when people come to watch the Our Lady Guadalupe Day and the Machina dances, then we can actually sell on that day. And anybody can sell on that day. Yeah, so.
And it just kind of whoever shows up, they'll just tell you where to set up.
Well, before I
mostly
think,
around the
yeah,
Pueblo Plaza.
around the plaza area, you just pick a spot. So you get there early, set your table up, and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The night before you set up the table, because that's when they start taking the spots.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Now.
we can go help you on the 11th, help you set up and all that. So,
Yeah,
and then,
let's.
oh, one more thing. And one more thing is I was looking at the calendar for the next board meeting day would be the next second Thursday of the month is going to be, it looks like, on that December 11th, and we'll probably be busy for setting it for December 12th. So I would propose to change it to the following Tuesday, like you said, on the 16th of December, if that's okay with everybody. Like we had to change this one because of Feast Day and
Yeah.
Veterans Day. We couldn't meet then. Is that okay with everyone if we change it to December 16th?
That's fine with me.
I'm good with
That's
it.
on, okay, and that's on a Tuesday, so, and it's kind of far enough away after the 12th and before Christmas that we could get a board meeting in for December, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be the next, I'll make that announcement when we're done. All right, that's everything that I had set up. Anybody have anything else? Okay, then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the announcements. The announcement is the next scheduled board meeting is going to be on Tuesday, December 16th, because of the feast day on the 12th. So that would be the announcement. And then said I don't have to call for a motion to adjourn. We can just say we adjourn. Is that correct, Joe Dan?
That's what Teresa said. I know with my other board,
We've always called for a motion ourselves.
but it's
So
I'll
I
leave
would
that up
call.
to you.
I would call for a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:21 p.m. And anyone from the board can make the
Patrick, I'll
motion.
make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Patrick made a motion to adjourn at 8:21 p.m. Do I have a second?
I
Second it.
second the motion.
Okay, LaDonna Yepasano second. We'll see if everyone agrees. David, do you agree?
I agree.
And LaDonna, you agree?
Yes.
And Patrick, you agree?
Yes, I agree.
And this is Margie, I agree. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for a good meeting, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you,
Good
everybody.
night.
night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Good night. I'll see you.